I'm thinking I'm going to title this video Persistence, or Persistence, since that's what this month has been a lesson of. Really a couple of months has been, but I've actually managed to get enough done to show a few things. So first off, I'm going to show the negative side. So in my schedule, you can see how I got some L's in the first part of the week. This is my workout schedule, but it gives you a rough idea of everything else. It got kind of hot this month, and it took a while to get the landlord over here to get the air conditioner in. It was too hot to work out. My point is with this is that already was like, 10 days in a row? It's really easy to just kind of like, one of two things. One, beat yourself up over it to where you're like, well, I didn't work out, so, woe is me. But then it's also been like, well, who cares about the rest of the month, right? You've already missed 10 days. What's another, 20 sounds kind of extreme even for me. But it can be really easy to just kind of like, well, who cares, right? I'm trying not to curse as much, just to keep YouTube off of me. But I probably will eventually here and there. Anyway, and then about halfway through this week, I went to go visit a friend's house playing cards. I don't have his permission to say his name, and it's irrelevant. But I forgot my I brought this with me because it fell on, I think the 14th or something like that. And, so I decided to bring it with me so I'd stay on schedule. And I did end up doing the workout. However, I forgot to schedule in both notebooks over there. So that messed me up. So and that's the reason why this loose paper is here, is so that I actually had to redo, I had to use the fake notebook and stuff like that. My whole point is with this, I'm kind of detail orientated, is that I had another chance for me to, again, say, who cares, and give up on it, right? But even so, I still managed to get back on a schedule, not beat myself up over it, just, do what I have to do in order to get back. And then the next time I played cards with them, I let them know, obviously that day, to put stuff away. But I got back on schedule. I was persistent. Well, again, that's going to be the word of probably the title of the video. For that reason, I had to stay persistent, stay on it. And then when I got my stuff back, I just caught things up. So I got my little key points here. I didn't write down my normal way. So first thing is quitting caffeine. Oops, sorry, blind you. As you'll see, I don't have my coffee machine anymore. I was drinking green tea out of it, but I can always heat water up in the microwave. So you see my coffee cup. Blind you again. So no reason for me to really keep that around just for that. I gave it to a neighbor so I can keep from blinding you anymore. And that way I'm also not tempted to get into it. But I haven't quit entirely. I still drink some caffeine when I go visit with my friend. A little bit goes a long way if you don't drink any all week. Drink a few sodas over the weekend. So here, I was going to show, this is one thing that I've got done. And this is part of that persistence. I was explaining about how I try to stay on schedule. Now I just showed you my workout schedule. But I also write, I think I've mentioned this several times before, try to keep track of regular days. And I don't write a whole lot of detail unless something really comes up, but just to keep track of. And it's partly because I'm still trying to quit smoking the vape, which I try not to say too much about, but it's tracking it as part of quitting it, being aware of it, and then slowly trying to work off of it, and trying to work out when you do smoke. I've explained that before. But anyhow, part of my schedule is that from 12 o'clock to, 12 o'clock to 2, I paint. So I finally finished this one. And you know how it is. It's like if you go to the library to study, you might only study, if you went for 2 hours, you go study for, you're lucky a full hour and a half, at best. So, you sit down to paint, you gotta mess with stuff and everything. For out of that 2 hours, I probably get a full 50 minutes of actually brush on the surface. And then this one here, I'm still working on, but I've been working on these at the same time. But because clearly this one has a lot more detail in it, I actually started on that one first with the background, and then I started this one because I wanted to, as you can see, that one actually has an example for me to follow with a certain pose, and I wanted to maintain the doing the two entirely different poses. I didn't have anything to look off of. But I wanted to get the practice in. Like, literally, that's all that was for, is for the practice. But I did them both at the same time. 2 hours every day. Except for the days that end with a 5 or 0. Now, this one's been done for a minute, but it's the same case. I did this last month and finished it. I was going to read this before I finished the video. But yeah, I spent a lot of time on this. It's about you wouldn't think so, but try painting and trying to make this really sharp. But yeah, this is again just something that I wanted to do for Lucifer and have over his altar. It was an idea, something that I wanted for me and wanted for Lucifer. I had an idea, I measured it out, sort of. And it just barely fit, and I decided to do it. So, again, another example of persistence. This is a slightly shorthand version to squeeze all these in. So, anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and read it. 11 points of power of Luciferianism. Lucifer represents the light of intellect, wisdom, and power unique to each individual with the courage to ascend to this responsibility. The symbol of the adversary is that of self-liberator and spiritual rebel who inspires self-evolution. Lucifer represents the balanced torchbearer of Venus. The light bringer is the morning star, and the night bringer as the evening star. Let's see. The adversary symbolizes the spark of consciousness which questions everything. Kind of reminds me of Einstein. Questions everything. The fall of Lucifer symbolizes the liberation of mind and courage to explore and master the darkness within. The adversary represents the rebellion with purpose, wisdom, strength, and power. Represents courage and self-love leading to honoring mind, body, and spirit. Guide your life as if your mind is to survive death. Indulgence with restraint, love for the deserving and disdain for the undeserving. Every act in its core is selfish. Recognize this fact and all while observing. To become God is fully to understand that you possess the power to create and sustain your path in life and illuminate the light of self-determined potential. So, there's that. And yes, the sigil actually glows in the dark. I don't know if I shined the light on it long enough for it, but so that's almost 10 minutes. I'll leave it there. But persistence is key. So if you just work on something, even if it's a few hours a day, you can be persistent, set just that much time aside, you can still get something done. Even if you're just a little bit every day, it still adds up.